Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Freaky Friday. So today I'm going to be doing something, again, a little bit different. I swear every Freaky Friday video I'm like, today we're doing something different. But yes, today I'm going to be talking about films that are apparently cursed. Now, I recently watched Cursed Films, which is where I got this idea. They're talking about horror movies that are apparently cursed, but it was very interesting when they were talking about the things that happened and how these rumours begin, and there's always some sort of kind of truth behind these rumours, but it was just really interesting when they kind of went into the details of things and how people kind of twist these things and make them sound scarier than they are. Not to say that they aren't scary anyway. Some very strange things did happen in these movies. So if you haven't watched Cursed Films on Shudder, I suggest going and watching those. I'm not going to be doing any episodes about the things that have already appeared, like The Crow, Poltergeist, The Exorcist, The Omen. There's some really weird things that happened on those films. Go and watch Shudder's Cursed Films, because that's where I basically got this idea. I'm going to be talking about films that are either horror or not horror and are still had very strange things happen to them and happen on them. So yeah, we're going to kind of have a look at those and see if we can explain them and just talk about them and try and figure out, are these films cursed? That is the question. So today, the one that I'm going to be talking about is probably one of my favourite horror movies actually, is the Conjuring series. We're talking about the first Conjuring movie here because it had a lot of very strange things happen on the set just on this one movie. So without further ado, let's get into answering the question, is the Conjuring film cursed? So the first thing that happened on the set of The Conjuring was mysterious bruising. Now, Patrick Wilson, who is a brilliant actor, I absolutely love him. He plays Ed Warren in The Conjuring, and he said that a lot of the child actors in the film, and if you haven't seen the film The Conjuring, it's about a family, I'm pretty sure it's all girls, and they live in this house which is apparently haunted, and all these horrible things happen to them. They get chucked around and beaten, and it's a very, very interesting story. You can check out the actual true story online. There's documentaries about it as well. It's really, really interesting. But obviously with Hollywood movies, they tend to blow things out of proportion to make it scarier. But the Perrons, which are the family that live there, did say that they did get a lot of it on the nose. They just kind of made things a little bit scarier than they were, or kind of blew things out of proportion a tiny bit. But the parents did say that a lot of what happened was pretty much on the nose, and it did happen, which is the scary thing. That's what's scary, is that a lot of these things that you're watching, you're like, oh, I'm sure that didn't actually happen. It says it's based on a true story, but a lot of it did actually happen. But a lot of the girls that were in the movie that played the sisters, they all turned up with these weird bruises on their body. And at first I was like, well, I'm pretty sure these kids get flung around a lot. But Patrick did go in to say that the girls didn't do any of their own stunts because they're children, and a lot of the time it's very rare to get a child to do their own stunts. So a lot of these bruises were turning up on girls that weren't doing these stunts, and they were all over their bodies. It was only within a couple of weeks of shooting that they started to appear, and it wasn't just one, it was all of them had these very weird bruisings all over their body, and they couldn't explain where it was coming from. And Joey King, who is this girl here, you'd probably recognise her from obviously The Conjuring. She's been in quite a few movies. She's a brilliant actress. Most recently she was in The Act. She played Gypsy Rose. That is amazing. If you haven't seen The Act, I highly suggest go and watching it. If you haven't watched that, I highly suggest go watching it. Joey King is a brilliant actress. Like I said, she hadn't been doing any of her own stunts or had anything hit her during filming, and yet these bruises just kind of showed up. So that's a little bit strange. I too have woke up with strange bruises on me before, but I do tend to walk into things a lot, so there's that there. That's a weird one. That is a very strange one. So another one that Patrick Wilson talked about was the moving curtains on the set of The Conjuring. So he said that he basically caught on film these huge, big, heavy curtains moving. And when I first heard this, I was like, well, they're curtains, they're gonna move if there's a little bit of like wind and stuff. The interesting thing is that Patrick Wilson said that they weren't just kind of slightly moving. He said that they were violently shaking, like they were violently blowing around like this. They were blowing around, and he said that he caught it on camera and showed it to James Wan. And he said that he was so busy trying to get the film done that if a ghost was behind him tapping him on the back, he probably wouldn't even notice. So a lot of the stuff that happened on set that people experienced, James Wan was completely oblivious to because he said he was too busy. So Patrick Wilson recorded these curtains moving because he wanted to show him, you know, what was happening on set. Patrick says that he caught this on camera. However, I have scoured the internet and I couldn't find a video of this happening. I can't help but feel that even someone like Patrick Wilson, who is a celebrity, why would you not put that online? Why would you not, you know, even to just kind of promote the film? Patrick Wilson doesn't seem like the sort of person that would fake evidence and would fake these things. He seems like the sort of person that would go and debunk things like that happening on set. But the only thing I would say is the fact that he captured it on camera, and I can't seem to find this video anywhere. I would love to see a video of these curtains apparently violently going back and forth with no apparent wind or any reason for them to be doing so. But I just think it's very strange that I can't find that anywhere. Why can't we just see that for ourselves? It would have been really interesting to watch. So the next one that happened on the set of The Conjuring is something called the Demonic Hour, which I personally thought was called the Witching Hour, or I've never heard of the Demonic Hour. They called it on set the Demonic Hour, and Vera Farmiga, who plays Lorraine Warren, started waking up every night between 3 and 4 a.m. after she started filming on set. Now, this is a strange one, but if they had said that she'd woke up exactly at a specific time, like she'd woke up at 3:33 a.m. every single night, that would have been more compelling to me, and it would have been really weird. But the fact that she was waking up, she said that she was waking up around 3 to 4 a.m. Body clocks are a weird thing, okay? So you could set an alarm for 6 a.m. every morning, and the thing is, your body gets into a routine of waking up at that specific time. That's the only thing that I can kind of chalk this down to, is that it's her body clock going off, and so she's waking up between 3 and 4, and it only seemed to happen as soon as she started filming for the movie. And then apparently Vera Farmiga went to do some research, and she found out that Bathsheba, who is the witch on The Conjuring, apparently was killed at this time by being hung from a tree. Now, after doing some research, this is what I think is interesting, because when you hear that, you're like, oh, that's really scary. Apparently she was really freaked out by this, the fact that she was waking up between 3 and 4, and Bathsheba was apparently killed at that time. Now, Bathsheba, she was a real person, don't get me wrong, she was a real person. However, she was not hung from a tree like you see in the film. She was accused of witchcraft, as was a lot of women back then, unfortunately. It was just a way of, if you didn't like someone, accuse them of witchcraft, and then they'd be gone for good, you know, and they'd unfortunately be killed or hunted down, or something horrible would happen to them. She was accused of witchcraft. Whether she was killed because of that, we don't know, but it seems to be more probable, according to files that I could see, that she did actually die of old age a few years after her husband did. So whether that was at 3 to 4, I don't know. This parents' family were haunted by this witch. Even though she wasn't proven of witchcraft, she was actually proven to be innocent. It's basically said that because she had all of these horrible things happen to her through her life, whether she died of old age or not, which seems to be the case, they think that because of all the horrible things that happened to her and all the accusations, that she basically ended up becoming quite an evil, malevolent spirit in her afterlife. It would kind of explain why they were haunted by this malevolent spirit of this woman. So yeah, it's just a shame that these horrible things happened to someone who seemed to be perfectly innocent. So another one that happened to Vera Farmiga is that she started seeing these claw marks. Now, it's kind of a weird one. I'm not 100% sure how to explain this, but after talking to James Wan about playing Lorraine Warren, Vera Farmiga was telling him about how she wanted Patrick Wilson to play her on-screen husband, Ed. And after their time talking about The Conjuring, she went back to look at her laptop, and it had 3 digital claw marks. Now, I don't know what digital claw marks means. The only thing that I can think of is like when you drop like your laptop or something, and it kind of gets that weird like glitchy effect on the screen where the pixels have kind of like died or something. So that's the only thing that I can think of, and in like a claw mark kind of shape, I guess, which it's a weird thing to happen and a weird shape to kind of appear on your laptop. The only thing that I can think of is that maybe if she had like a dog or a cat or something that they've maybe scratched at the screen while she was away, and it's caused these claw marks, which, you know, would happen if they have claws. If she has animals, that's something that I think could possibly happen. If she doesn't, then I really don't know what could cause that. For your laptop to just spontaneously just have these 3 claw marks is really strange. But what's weirder though is that a day after she finished filming, she had 3 claw-like bruises on her thigh. Basically looked like it was caused by really long nails digging into her skin, which she then took a picture of and sent a text to James Wan and said that it really creeped her out. But apparently he wasn't that fussed because he never even texted her back. So apparently James Wan doesn't seem to believe in any of this stuff. The case of the weird water. So one of the writers for the movie said that his wife was experiencing some strange things while he was on set of the movie. She said that she kept discovering a weird formation of water appearing in the exact same spot over and over again, no matter how many times that she cleaned it. It doesn't say if they actually tried to figure out what was causing this water figuration appearing on the wall, on the floor. To me, I feel like the first logical thing to do would be either to hire someone to find out where this water was coming from, or sort of peel up the floor or the carpet, the floorboards yourself and try and figure out where this water's coming from. But from the sound of it, she immediately thought it was strange and kind of made this connection with her husband working on the Conjuring movie. And so instead of hiring a professional, she went to a professional paranormal investigator instead, which was Lorraine Warren herself. She asked her about this weird water formation that kept forming in her house, and Lorraine said it was a water poltergeist. Yeah, which was feeding off of her teenage daughter's angst. Now, I've never heard of a water poltergeist. I have a big fascination for everything supernatural, paranormal, all that sort of stuff, ghost, demon, poltergeist, everything. And I've watched enough horror movies to kind of have a little bit more of an understanding of that stuff, I guess, and where they're coming from. And my understanding of a poltergeist was that it's something that is created by you. It's created by bad feelings and energy and all that sort of stuff, and it's almost created physically by your energy. So when I heard of this water poltergeist, I had to do a bit of research because I'd never heard of a water poltergeist before. I thought it was really weird, and so I did a bit of research and I couldn't find a whole lot. So apparently water poltergeists are extremely rare, and the only things that I could find about these water poltergeists in general was either by the Warrens themselves or from a Polish family who were experiencing unexplainable amounts of water leaking from weird places like furniture and their walls, which just don't seem to have a reason for water coming out of them, especially furniture. I don't really know how you'd explain water coming out of furniture, but I was seeing things, they were calling it a liquid poltergeist, which is apparently the same thing, or seems to be the same thing. It's like a normal poltergeist which is born from bad energy, but instead of moving things around, it creates water like out of nowhere. So like cups will fill up with water, or like splashes of water will happen from nowhere, or like people will get splashed by water from nowhere. There's no explanation for it, and that's what these water poltergeists are. So it was really interesting. I've learned something new now. You know, having water coming out of your furniture is a strange one, but I feel like having water appear on your floor is probably a little bit more explainable than a poltergeist that is literally sucking out your teenage daughter's anger issues. Sounds really wrong. Next, we have the moving pig. Ooh. Basically, after building the set for the Warrens' famous artifact room, they found a wooden pig. It was like a replica, which apparently is one of the artifacts in their room, which they had loads of different artifacts, but this little wooden pig was apparently moving around. No one would see it physically moving. It's not like it was just like wandering around like, hey, oh yeah, hey pig. But they said that it would be in a place on the set, and then later on it would appear somewhere else, and nobody seemed to know why or who was moving it. Now, stuff like this I'm always skeptical of, because unless there's physically a video of this pig wandering around the room or teleporting from one place to another, I find it really difficult to believe, because you're basically just believing hearsay. You're believing what people are just telling you. I don't know. I can't help but feel that maybe there's like a stagehand or even an intern that was maybe moving things around to kind of freak people out, but simply because they're working on a horror movie. So why not scare people? That's kind of what happens. It's par and par with a horror movie, right? It's being scared. So as you can see, a lot of very strange things did happen on the Conjuring movie. But does this mean that the Conjuring movie is cursed? I don't know. It's difficult to say, because some strange things definitely happened that are difficult to explain, but others seemed like it was almost like wishful thinking. You know, when you come onto a set or you start talking about paranormal experiences, it's like when you go into a house and you think, this is a lovely house, it's old, but it's fine, it's beautiful, it's lovely, and nothing weird happens until someone's like, oh, did you know someone died here? And then every small creak or sound that you hear, it's like, well, that's strange, well, that's weird. And it's almost like you force yourself to see these things. And like I said with the whole poltergeist thing, I am one of those people that feels like sometimes that your energy and your beliefs can force you to see things and force you to experience things that may not actually happen or may not be there. And it's one of the things that they talk about in cursed films, which is really interesting, which is called the gorilla theory, in which when you are so focused on things happening because you believe in that and that you want to see it, that you completely ignore things that may be happening behind the scenes. So you may be so focused on the fact that you're seeing a curtain moving and you want to believe that it's a ghost that you completely miss the gigantic fan that's blowing said curtain. Did a bottle fall off a shelf on its own, or are you completely missing the fact that you actually placed that bottle very far off the shelf and it was just gravity taking control and making it fall off the shelf? It's really, really interesting. I'm not a skeptic, but when it comes to paranormal stuff, I like to have the facts. I'm a pretty thorough paranormal investigator when it comes to weird stuff that I have experienced myself, and I have experienced some things that I definitely can't explain, which you have seen in my Things That I Can't Explain videos. I do like to try and figure out what could be happening. I like to be thorough, and I think that is what a good paranormal investigator is being thorough and making sure that they debunk everything that could possibly be causing these weird phenomenons to happen. So when it comes to The Conjuring, I don't know if it is a cursed film or not, or just weird things happen, but what I will say is that The Conjuring 2 also had some very strange things happen, as well as the spin-offs, which I will get to in another episode. So you'll have to make sure you watch the next episode of Is This Film Cursed? I know, creative title. But for now, let me know what you guys think. Is this film cursed, or is it just people jumping to conclusions and missing the signs of an obvious explanation? If you like this video, make sure you give it a big old thumbs up, one of these, and if you haven't already, click that subscribe button because it really helps out the channel and it makes me able to create more of these videos for you guys, which I'm really enjoying doing. I'm loving doing all this horror stuff and delving in and doing some research, and it's just fun. I feel like a little paranormal private eye or something. It's just really cool, I like it. But for now, I'll bid thee farewell and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Shout out to my Patreon producers, Adam S, Bugsy McCoy, Can Yildiz, Captain Howdy, Greg Hicks, Hardware128K, Henry Jackson, Hogo138, Lee Findlay, Randy McLaughlin, Armal Knox, and V3. Thank you guys so much for helping support me on Patreon. You can also do that by clicking the link down here below and become one of my Patreon producers and get your name on my videos. So yeah, go do that please, if you can. It's completely up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do.